their own world, do not disturb. Do not bother them. And certainly do not ever think of eating them. Okay?
Is it new that people are eating bats? Or have they been eating bats forever?
Forever. Not forever, but apparently in China it's considered exotic and has some value.
Yeah.
I've never heard of my English ancestors eating bats. I've never heard of them. I've never heard of the Roman legions ever cooking bats. I've never heard of them. Even on Bizarre Foods, my favorite TV show, he's never had that.
He's funny.
Yeah, okay. And pangolin, I've never seen that. And some people eat armadillo, but I've never seen... Yes, please.
Oh, okay. I was testing whether I could even be heard. This is David.
Yes, David.
I don't know if you're aware of this. The pangolin is the only amphibian, or the only mammal with...
Mammal. It's a mammal.
The only mammal with scales. Usually they're only reptiles. The pangolin is the only one with scales. And it is, from what I read, the most traded in China or Asia of all the animals, the most valued. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So now...
So why would the virus be present now and not all the other years that they've been eating bats?
Random.
You see, so I had read that they were testing coronavirus experiments on these bats and other animals. And when they're finished with them, instead of disposing of those bodies, they sell them to the market. We're eating them.
Oh. That would be bad.
I heard that too.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Because why now a virus and not over the past 100 years?
These things have been around forever, guys. Viruses go back to the origin of life 3 billion years ago. They were here before us.
We haven't seen anything like this.
Well, Donna, it's because our interconnected society now. They had epidemics in the past, many, but they never went outside the village, right? It was rare.
Right.
Now, with jet travel, there you go.
Have you heard anything about a relationship between EMFs and this virus?
Yes. Also, that 5G theory is there too. Yeah. There are other theories like that Wuhan was a leading place for this 5G technology. Is that right, Susan?
Yes, that's what I read. Yeah.
And Lombardy in northern Italy was a key
local. Really? Oh, that I didn't know.
I don't know about New York City.
And even the Spanish flu, there was some relationship between wireless.
Yeah. So the problem is, Donna, that all of these factors are interconnected. And our modern world amplifies and makes things spread so much more quickly. All over the world. Okay? Whereas before, if it was Wuhan Village, then it was Wuhan Village. That's where the problem was. It didn't go beyond that.
Ed?
Yeah.
Is this the time you want me to bring up what I emailed you last night?
What was that theory, David?
That Wuhan, the capital of the Hubei province in China, was chosen to be China's first 5G smart city. And it was the location of China's first smart 5G highway.
Okay.
And it's ironic that now it's the center of the coronavirus epidemic. And the linkage was discussed last October by people. Could the rollout of 5G have something to do with the people there being more susceptible to getting this coronavirus?
Absolutely. Is there a documented, guys, let me ask you, and maybe Blair has researched this a little bit. Is there any documented immunity effect of this 5G technology of weakening the immune system? That's what I would suspect. Is there, David?
Yes, I sent you those articles if you read those articles I sent you last night, by a medical doctor and another by a PhD. Actually, they were both medical doctors, I believe. One was a professor. They had 20-some pages of documentation of studies showing the link between the weakened immune system and the presence of the radiation, the electrical radiation. And they also showed that major breakthroughs in technology have been followed by these type of outbreaks going back hundreds of years.
Interesting. Yeah, what do you think, guys? Is there legitimacy to that, do you think? It may not be the cause, David, but it may do this. What it may do is weaken the people to the point where they are no longer able to resist the virus.
Yeah.
The cause is the bad diet. But in combination with this, boom, this is what you got.
So, Ed, this is Blair, in case you don't remember. So to me, there are a number of things that can contribute to people and their exposure to diseases causing certain groups to have more problems versus others. And a lot of those things are fairly fluid. But I think the bigger question on this virus as it relates to us and our health is directly related to the things that we keep seeing people do that compromise these things. So in China, you took a group of people, put them in a relatively small area, put very exotic animals in there, and then you had warm blood in an environment that was in contact with humans over an extremely long period of time. And by nature of the environment they put them in, it's not one that's to make you avoid disease. It's a disease brewing pot at best, okay? And so, the Wuhan virus, which I hate calling it that because it makes it sound like the Chinese caused it, is really no different from a coronavirus standpoint than like a few years ago we had the Junta virus out in New Mexico or whatever. A couple people went camping in a thing and they got a coronavirus from the rats in the thing, and they all got sick, and we didn't start calling it the New Mexico virus. But all that aside, the bigger question to me in this as it relates to a disease process is that anytime we keep interacting humans with animals in a disease state, at some point in time, these diseases cross over through the barrier and we get in trouble. And this isn't so unusual. A few years ago, they were talking about mad cow disease possibly crossing over into the human barrier, and they're talking about bovine leukemias doing the same thing. And that there's a huge potential in the future for these things to cross over in the human population and make us sick from diseases not even related to virus, but actual bacteria and some other things that can be of huge implication to our health. So I think we need to keep eating our grains and stay away from bats.
Forget that. Cancel the bat tempura, Blair, okay?
Yes.
Well, that's the whole point. That's what we're getting to now. And so we've seen that this is totally related to our hosting, right? Whether we're a good or bad host. And what that means is our natural immunity, our immune system. So that brings us to the other part of the equation. Blair kind of mentioned it, and that is the large intestine. So this is very much lung and large intestine. Do you guys agree this is metal energy? Can you see this very clearly? Mm-hmm. Mary Ellen, do you see this is metal energy? And it's no accident that this came out in a 7-metal year, which is this year. We're going to look at that and see if we can predict, using 9-star key also, where this is going. So what's the relationship between our colon, nurses come to the rescue, colon and our digestive tract, I should say, and our immune system? What is that relationship?
That's where our immune system lives, is in our gut.
What percentage is estimated, Don?
About 80.
All right, I got 70, but okay, yeah. It's probably about 1 to 7, maybe 85. And, okay, why is that? Why do we have such a concentration of immune cells? It's actually lymphatic tissue, Donna, right?
It is.
In the intestines. Why is that so much there?
Because of the food we eat.
Well, what is the digestive tract? It's the boundary, the frontier between inside our body and outside our body. Just like the skin also, right? Do you understand what I'm saying by that? Food is not actually, when we eat, does not really enter the body until when? Until what happens to it?
Till it's absorbed.
Till it's absorbed, largely through the small intestine.
Mm-hmm.
So before and after that, that means passing the food into the colon, that's actually technically outside the body. So why is that immune system there? Because so much potential bad stuff could come in through that channel, and often does come in through that channel. So that means the front line of body's defenses are concentrated in the digestive tract. Nurses, is that a pretty good way to put it?
Yes.
All right. Roughly 70% or more. All right, so there's that. Then what else is living within the digestive tract, especially in the colon, which is interfacing constantly and helping in many cases, or hurting, depending on its composition, helping or hurting that immune response?
The biome.
This is the bacteria, right? Microbiome. What is the number? 100 trillion? Something like that, right? 500 species, 100 trillion count, roughly 3 pounds, okay? Nurses, yes?
Yes.
Thomas, yes. All right, and okay, and those bacteria are technically not inside the body. Do you understand what that means? They're outside the body. In the colon, in the, right, passage of the colon. So that interface is constantly there between these bacteria, which do many beneficial things or harmful things, and the body's immune response. So this next article, which I hope you read on the next page, The Gut, Helen Fields, where bacteria and immune system meet. And all you need to do is Google that whole concept, gut immunity, digestive immune system. You'll get so much research and so many citations there. In many cases, this is considered frontline, cutting edge of research. Is this a new idea, guys? Is this new, or is this a very ancient idea?
This is ancient.
Who said it first? Who is the first of it? Who?
Ayurveda.
All right. How about in ancient Greece, the founder of modern medicine, Hippocrates? What did he say?
Let food be thy medicine.
Medicine.
No, even something new. All sickness begins in the gut.
Oh,
Direct quote from Hippocrates. Please add that to the list of Hippocrates quotes. All sickness begins in the gut. What does that mean? That means 70% of your immune cells are there. If they are compromised, then the rest of the body, whole body, is vulnerable to things like virus and bacteria, don't you think? Or even vulnerable to things like cells that multiply out of control and are not managed by the immune system, so-called cancer, and many, many other diseases. The list is in the hundreds now, right, of the immune-related diseases, right? Okay? So where does that leave us? Where does that bring us? Okay? By the way, in this article, there's connections here between things like tuberculosis and the intestinal biome. Again, keep getting back to lung and large intestine. That relationship, metal energy relationship. Please read this and please research this. So where does that bring us? It brings us to the distinction between the good bacteria and bad bacteria. All right, guys? Good guys and bad guys. So not too long ago, I discovered that we carry both. good and bad bacteria. But there's a certain ratio. Who should be more, guys? Good or bad guys should be more in the
More good.
More good, right?
Or
We all
better.
want to be good. And so that's not 50-50, Donna.
No, it's 7-1.
85%.
He gets an A.
50%. In other words, we're carrying an 85% good to 15% bad ratio. And what are these good bacteria doing? Well, they're enhancing our immune system. They're giving our immune system a break. So there's no need for the immune system to be doing its activity in the digestive tract much at all. It's much more taking it easy. So that means 70%. Under that situation, there's much more the available immune response for the rest of the body. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because it's not being occupied by inflammation or dealing with antigens right in the digestive tract itself.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand, guys?
Yes.
So, where do the good bacteria come from? What type of food?
Pickles.
What kind?
Fermented.
Yeah.
Sauerkraut.
They come from, they come from
Miso.
let's go back. Let's back up. Where have we seen that 7-1 ratio before? Besides, now we know it's in the microbiome. Where did we see it before? Especially in the digestive tract.
It's everywhere in nature.
All right, but where? Outstanding, undeniable. We don't need to look far. Example is what?
Brown rice.
Our teeth.
Yes.
Oh, right.
So that
28-4.
means the beginning of the digestive tract, 7 times more plant crushing and grinding and cutting teeth to 4 canine teeth, right? 28-4. Isn't it? That means carbohydrate basically to protein. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that same ratio is exactly duplicated in our lower digestive tract. 7 parts good guys to 1 part bad guys. So let me ask you, Donna, and guys, Donna seems to be very gung-ho. This is great. In our diet, suppose we say we have 2 major antagonisms. One is carbohydrate. The other is protein. Okay? What is the basis of carbohydrate in the elements kingdom? Basis is what element?
You mean like starch? Plants.
No, actual chemical element. The actual chemical element is what? The main one in carbohydrate that's named after that.
Carbon.
Carbon.
Yeah.
Carbon, right, Donna?
Yes.
What's the main element in protein?
Hydrogen. No.
Protein is nitrogen.
Nitrogen.
All right, nitrogen. Which is yin, which is yang?
I think nitrogen is more yang.
Nitrogen is very yin,
Oh, it breaks down into,
and carbon
into
is yang.
blood urea.
All right. So where do we see nitrogen in nature? Where is it being used? For what purpose? Do you know the majority of what? Put on crops. Mary Ellen?
Yeah, nitrogen
Fertilizers.
Yeah, ammonia and nitrogen-based fertilizers, correct? It makes things grow. That's yin, right, guys? So that means, I told Blair is down in Houston, by the way. And right off of where he lives in the Gulf of Mexico. What's happening there? Do you know? It's this gigantic what?
Algae bloom.
Dead zone.
All the dead zone from the runoff from the farms of the.
And what is that runoff composed of, Mary Ellen?
Yeah.
Nitrogen, right? Waste.
Nitrogen, the waste from the animals.
Both from the fertilizer runoff and also the animal waste, right? Both, right?
Yeah.
And it collects and gathers and flows down the Mississippi and then boom. And what does it do? Blair, what does that nitrogen do in the Gulf of Mexico?
Well, so what it did down here was that it fed the algae, and for a number of years we had these huge algae blooms off the coast. But then when all the algae died off and sucked up all the oxygen, because algae is a living substance, sucked up all the oxygen out of the water, and now you've got these huge pockets of water out there that are dead zones from an oxygen standpoint because of all the stuff coming down out of the Mississippi, the nitrogen and stuff on the farmers, because all the farming along that belt.
What's your takeaway, guys, when you hear that? What is your takeaway for our internal ecology? What is the takeaway? You know? The takeaway is this. If we're eating a nitrogen-based diet, which means high in what? And we're eating very little carbon-based food, then we develop a toxic dead zone. First of all, in our colon. First of all, that will promote the growth of these toxic bacteria, just like these toxic algae in the Gulf. And what do they do to the good bacteria? Well, they crowd them out. Because the good bacteria are carbon-based, not nitrogen-based. So you start to have a toxic bacterial situation. You know, guys, when meat decomposes, what does it do? What does it do? It breaks down into poison, right? It rots. All right? And especially as we've studied, our transit time is very long compared to the transit time of a carnivorous animal, right? So there's plenty of opportunity for that decomposition to go on, especially once this reaches the lower end of the colon. Okay? And a meat-based diet has a much longer transit time than a plant-based diet. You also know that, right? Fiber goes through much more quickly than protein. So what you get here, David, you get a situation where your ratio is no longer 7-1. Because of eating all this nitrogen-based protein, decaying animal flesh, the toxic bacteria, nitrogen-based toxic bacteria proliferate. All right? And then what happens? 70% of your what is there to meet that and resist that. What is that 70% of what? Immune system. So this sets up a pattern of nonstop, whether people know it or not, inflammation in the digestive tract, off and on, nonstop. Okay? Do you guys agree?
Absolutely.
Then what happens if you're exposed to COVID-19 in that condition? Your immune system is highly compromised from that, right? From your diet.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's very little strong immunity left.
Can't fight back.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
I liken, when I talk to Dubai, I liken the image to the image of the fire station and the fireman at the fire station. When you are eating carbohydrate, fiber, macrobiotic plant-based, what's happening fire-wise in your body?
Okay.
What are the guys doing at the fire station? Video games, crossword puzzles, right? Texting, watching TV, lying around, cooking scrambled eggs.
Yep.
Okay? So they're taking it easy. So if far distant, right, suppose the respiratory system, right, alarm goes off. What is that alarm? COVID-19 virus comes in, right? The guys are bored. They're looking for something to do. So they jump into the fire truck and roar off, and they take care, put out that COVID fire, right? Can you see? In here, in the throat or in the upper respiratory. Neutralize it before it takes root. Can you see that? But what about if we're eating nitrogen-based animal protein all the time? What are the firemen doing in that situation in the firehouse?
They're calling in other firemen to help.
Yeah, non-stop, ding, 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 non-stop, right back. They're exhausted, right? Can you see?
Can't keep ahead of it.
So when the distant alarm rings, they're tired. They can't deal with it. They don't send a full truck. They send maybe a couple guys out, take a look, right? We're tired. We need rest. And that's when the virus takes root. What do you think, Blair? Is that a good analogy?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I believe that when we eat a carbon-based diet, we're taking in the highest vibration that the universe has, versus when you're eating animals and you have decaying animal flesh in your body, it lowers your vibration to the level of a bacteria or a virus, so that it's like maggots being attracted to the garbage.
Yeah, that's a very graphic way of expressing it, Donna. Thank you very
So
much.
that if your vibration is really high, the virus will just bounce right off. It doesn't have the magnetic attraction.
Well, it exists on a totally different plane than you exist. It can't even reach you. Do you understand?
Right. Yes.
All right. And what is the source of that high vibration? So-called carbohydrate, right? Where is that coming from, Mary Ellen? The carbohydrate. Where is it coming from? What is it?
Grain from rice,
Yeah, it's coming from sunlight and atmosphere.
sunlight. Yeah.
And the atmosphere. Isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So what we're eating, Donna, is condensed sunlight, right? Directly.
Yes.
Not only that, because we're eating grain, which is an advanced form of grass. We've been saying this now for a number of years. They have the antenna that point up, the so-called awns, right?
Awns.
Remember that? Everyone remembers. Mary Ellen, you look like you don't remember.
No, I do.
What are the awns doing? If the leaves during daytime are capturing sunlight for photosynthesis, what are the awns capturing? At night. Very subtle vibration from the whole cosmos.
Yeah.
All right? Far beyond the sun. And this is what we call spiritual vibration. And by the way, because we're human beings, we're the only ones that stand up straight and can see and reach out into the whole universe. Other animals can't do that. They are very much confined to the horizontal surface of the earth plane, whereas we can see from the entire universe because of our food, because of the cosmic force being channeled by those on. Okay? And I guess, Donna, you're right. Because we have abandoned that, that's why these problems are there, right? Isn't it?
Yes.
And what are these problems here for? These are our teachers. For COVID-19 is a wonderful taskmaster and teacher, teaching humanity what? What is the takeaway from the COVID-19 pandemic? What?
That they need to eat macrobiotic.
Plant-based diet.
Say it loud and say it proud.
Yeah.
Get away from this reliance on animals. Boom. What could be more clear?
Right.
So our vegan friends are now rallying, right? Now they're sensing a huge opportunity, right, to promote the vegan cause, right?
Of course.
They're activating. They're mobilizing in full force. Very interesting to watch, right? And we knew this all along. We knew this all along. All right, so don't forget the relation between immunity. So whether you are susceptible or not susceptible, all sickness begins in the gut. The origin is what we eat every day and the strength or weakness of our immune system.
Yep.
And our plant-based way of eating, both probiotic and prebiotic, both, is absolutely the best. So is everybody clear about that relation? What is prebiotic, David? Are you clear about that?
Yeah.
Sarah, are you clear? Prebiotics, what those are?
Please tell me.
Those are undigested fibers and resistant starches. For example, in brown rice, that even though we chew, we don't fully digest and they don't get absorbed. There's something like carriers for the nutrients that we do absorb in the grains, but these resistant starches pass into the colon and fiber, where they serve as food, fertilizer, carbon-based fertilizer for the good guys in the colon, the good bacteria. And they also begin fermenting there. Okay, fermenting. Donna, did I get that right?
Absolutely. Very good.
All right.
You get an A yet?
Ed,
Yes.
so you're saying that complex carbohydrates like grains and brown rice and farro and so forth act as they are not easily digestible, right?
No, part of it is, David, not the whole thing. The fiber part is not digestible.
Right, and it acts as food for the
Good guys.
the good bacteria.
That's correct. Absolutely correct.
Therefore it acts as a prebiotic. Compare for me then what the probiotic.
Probiotic is, number one, in many cases, that prebiotic food starting. For example, a soybean is a prebiotic also, right? It has fiber, right?
Yes.
So that soybean is cooked and then inoculated with bacteria or spores that allow fermentation to occur outside the body. So when you eat miso, you're eating a prebiotic, which is the digested barley and soybean in the paste, right, guys? You're getting nutrients, plus you're actually eating a living food. You're eating the actual probiotics, which are the active bacteria within the fermented product, the miso. So many of our foods are both pre and pro, and those probiotics are the beneficial ones that augment. They're kind of like the night shift arriving at the fire station, right? When the guys want to go off, and then the new team comes in of good guys right into the fire station. Can you understand what I'm saying?
So Ed, eating fermented foods by themselves won't be nearly as beneficial as eating the fermented foods with the prebiotic foods, because the good bacteria with the fermented foods has to have something to feed off of in order to survive.
Preferably, David, that the probiotic foods that you're eating are also prebiotics, meaning plant-based, vegetables and grains and beans, not animal food.
So they supply their own food also for the bacteria that they possess.
Yeah, and they're reinforcements.
I understand.
Whereas yogurt is a probiotic, correct, guys? But what is the yogurt feeding off of? It's not feeding off of carbon.
Feeding off of sugar.
Sugar, yeah, and also protein and fat too, right, Don? Nitrogen-based, right? So once again, the quality of the food should be a combination. It should be a pre-probiotic, both. So that's why yogurt is not acceptable as the source of probiotics, because the source is not a prebiotic. It's an animal protein, which is hard to digest, which ferments in a bad way in the colon.
So there's the first responders, and then there's the backups.
Yeah. The first responders are the guys who are already in the fire station.
I got you.
The backup is sauerkraut. The guys who are living in the sauerkraut and digesting the cabbage dip.
Very, very good explanation, Ed. Thank you.
So what is this? What should you stock up on during this situation, this current situation? Number one,
Red wine.
So,
Lots of Cabernet.
but don't bring it in from northern Italy. Sorry.
No.
By the way, why is Corona more prevalent in northern Italy than in Sicily?
More dairy?
Very good. Sicily is the Mediterranean diet, Mary Ellen, right? Olive oil based, right?
yes.
And the northern Italy is like what? Dairy based, butter based.
Cheese?
Okay, cheese and butter, right? Heavy cream, like Switzerland, isn't it?
Yeah.
And guys, you all know very well what that kind of heavy dairy does to the respiratory system. What does it do?
Oh, mucus.
So can you imagine, Susan, those sticky spines on the virus? If the cells are sticky, right, from sticky milk and cheese and dairy, right, very easy for them to get caught and trapped and stuck and attracted to the cells within the lung. Do you agree, guys? Because of dairy. So that cluster of corona is largely, it originated there, largely because of the dairy consumption being much higher than in the southern regions of Italy, right? The Mediterranean diet regions, which are much healthier, right?
Ed, I just wanted to say something. I don't know if you guys remember that Michio did a lecture on SARS. And he took a picture of the cell and he likened it to the same picture in milk, of the cell of milk.
Yeah, do you have that? Do you have that image?
Somewhere in my notes, but I thought that was very fascinating that he did
I
that.
do too. Yeah, Sherry, can you look that up on Google Images and send everybody those two matching images? Let's have a look.
Yeah, I'll look at my notes.
All right, so dairy is a huge factor here, although the Chinese are not historical dairy consumers. So either they've added dairy or it's another factor also, perhaps the heavy animal fat that they're eating is needed.
Well, instead with the SARS, specifically the group that got it were big milk drinkers and chicken eaters.
In China.
Yeah, that
Okay.
they would those chicken things on a stick and then they drink a lot of milk. And that,
Yeah, interesting, right? Very much in line with what we're saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I don't think we need to go through the list of our fermented foods. Everybody knows, right? You all know very well. Miso, sauerkraut, amasake, pickles. Did I forget natto? How can we forget natto? Marielle?
Easily.
Sarah.
We can easily forget it, Ed.
And so those are what you should stock up on, right? You should stock up on those things during this kind of episode. All right, make sure you have enough for a month or whatever. Okay, so you're building your immune system. With every sip of miso soup, you're strengthening your immunity. And of course, brown rice is perfect for fiber as a prebiotic also, right? As we know. And eating brown rice together with fermented miso and fermented the sauerkraut and pickles is making that fiber much more available to the bacteria in the colon. In other words, the combination of brown rice and pickles, brown rice and miso, is an ideal pre and probiotic combination 1-2 punch. What do you think, guys? All right.
Ed, I have a question about the miso. Now, there's all different types of miso. Is the barley miso the best medicinal type to take or to eat, or does it not matter?
Generally it doesn't matter, although the longer fermented misos tend to have more the pre and probiotic availability.
Okay.
But again, you don't need to just restrict yourself. You're having enough restriction already, right? Right?
Yeah. Yes.
So anyway, yes, do your normal routine. Everyday miso soup with good, high-quality organic miso.
Okay.
And don't forget the wakami's going in there too, right? Yep.
Yes.
Okay? And that's having huge benefit. All right, let's see the next. So far, interesting, guys? What do you think?
Yes.
Interesting so far?
Yes.
Mary Ellen, interesting?
Oh, yeah. Very
All right, we all know, and we've all studied the 5 transformations, okay? And we all know the organ pairs that correspond to each of the energies. Right, Sarah? So, like, tree energy is which organs? They say wood here. Please change the tree. Liver and gallbladder, okay, right? Fire energy is the heart, small intestine. These are expansive energies. On the right side of the body and also center of the body. Then left side of the body, Mary Ellen, which? Soil. Pancreas and stomach. And then very condensed energy. Metal. Which ones, guys? Lung and large intestine. So please circle lung and large intestine. And this is the issue. And of course, kidney, bladder is water. But circle this metal energy. So in our study so far, Sherry, isn't it? We pretty much said this is the issue of the lung, large intestine, right? Both biome and also lung condition, respiratory condition. Yes, do you agree, guys?
Yes.
So we're looking at a metal issue here, and we're looking at using our foods to strengthen those metal organs. And again, in level 2, we've studied this repeatedly, but let's just be sure. So our grain for daily consumption, which grain?
Brown rice.
Short brown
Yeah,
rice.
short grain. Do you have enough for a month?
Yes.
All right, good.
Or more.
Nearly.
I heard from Gabrielle Cushy out in Minnesota. You know Gabrielle, right?
Yes.
She told me a couple of days ago she couldn't find it. It's all sold out in all the health food stores in Minneapolis.
Oh my gosh.
So better check, better confirm. I found Eden's is selling, at least a couple of days ago, 5-pound bags of Lundberg short grain organic. All right, so if you suspect or if you're concerned your Whole Foods or local market may run out, then better call Eden tomorrow or go on their website and replenish your store of short grain brown rice, okay? And then for breakfast, what is a good thing? I put it on Facebook. What is a very good breakfast using your leftover brown rice? What?
Brown rice porridge.
Yeah, Kayu, K-A-Y-U, soft brown rice. You know how to do that, Mary Ellen, right?
Yes.
And what is a very good condiment to eat with that to give you more virus neutralizing power?
Umaboshi.
Yes, that's good, but umeboshi especially. Sarah's gung-ho for yang, right? That's great. But don't forget some fresh scallion on top, too. So one caution I'm putting out there, if we go full heavy metal, full metal jacket, that's not good. We also have to take something from the opposite categories, right? Tree and fire to balance, right, guys? Don't be one-sided, right? All right. So please have the rice ayu, soft rice porridge, leftover rice porridge with umeboshi. Maybe half a plum 3 or 4 times a week each time, right? And nori is also very good with that, too. And dry condiments like seaweed powders are especially good on that. And tekka, if you have tekka, sure.
Ed, can you substitute the paste for the plum if you can't find the plum?
Yes, you can substitute paste.
Okay.
Of course.
How often do you say the plum?
About 3 plums a week, David, is about top.
Thank you.
All right. More than that, you'll start to become too young. All right. So this is strengthening both lung and large intestine. This is cleansing both lung and large intestines. This is eliminating mucus from the respiratory tract. So even if corona comes in, boom, it has nothing to attach to. Because your immune system is really good, immediately cancel it, and it can't stick because there's nothing to stick to. All right? As Donna said, you're vibrating at a different level. How about beans? What are the beans that match metal? Guys. Well, white beans and yellow soybeans. So please start to include. Do you have stockpiles? All beans are good. All dried beans are good, but beans are especially focusing on metal energy. Do you have stockpiles?
Yes.
All right. So either dried beans or, in this case, Eden's canned beans are okay. No salt canned beans in the non-chemical can. Although we don't prefer that, but as backup. As backup, those are allowable. How about vegetables, guys? What category is metal?
Rootless.
Burdock, carrot, daikon, kuzu root also. Kuzu is a root. So can you find burdock? Fresh or dried is okay.
Yep.
Sarah, how about burdock in the Berkshires?
Guidos have it.
All right, sometimes they have it. Okay. And as much as you can, when you get the carrots, cook the green leafy top also.
That's what I had tonight.
How did we know that, Donna? That's why you're so feisty tonight. The greens are nurturing your lung, and the root is nurturing your large intestine.
And they're very high in chlorophyll.
What a combination, isn't it, Mary Ellen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then next, don't forget the hijiki. So normally we're not eating much hijiki, right? Once in a while as an exotic side dish, but maybe during this crisis, have once a week a hijiki side dish. And are you able to prepare delicious hijiki?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sarah said yes. Sarah, you said yes. Then you have to deliver some to my place tomorrow.
Okay.
I want called your takeout. Can I have the hijiki dish, please? We can't.
Your diagram showed it served with lotus root.
Yeah, with lotus root. Onion and carrot is also very good, Mark. Okay. So please include that. And fruits, these are the hard autumn fruits with the small young seeds. These are more young than the big seed, like peach or apricot, right? Have a big stone. Those are more yin than the smaller seeds. So these fruits are also very helpful. And also, what flavor is corresponding to the middle energy? What flavor?
Pungent.
Pungent. So what is the role of grated ginger, grated daikon? What is their role in preventing the COVID-19? What would you think their role is? These pungent vegetables or foods, what is their role?
Dispersing and cleansing.
Yeah, cutting through fat and mucus, discharging. Once again, undercutting the ground for the virus. There's no ground if there's no sticky fat and mucus in the respiratory tract. If someone develops a cough, what is our standard remedy for cough?
Lotus root
tea.
Yeah, we all know lotus root tea, either fresh, dried, or even powder in this case. So please have some. Do you have dried lotus root on hand just in case?
Yes.
All right, please do that. I don't know, Sarah, in Berkshire, whether we can get fresh or not.
I only
Chinese food
have
store.
dry at Guido's.
Guido's sometimes. Yeah, it's not so easy to find, right? Here.
Yeah, mostly just dry.
You can get it in Hadley.
Yeah, so please have this on hand, okay? Great about Philadelphia. They have in Philadelphia dried fresh lotus root? No?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so lotus root, that's one remedy that you should always have available in this situation, especially if there's a threat to the respiratory system. Second is the what? The tofu and cabbage plaster, in case anybody develops a fever, even mild fever. And how do you use this, Marielle, tofu and cabbage?
I know with the cabbage, you place it right on the forehead.
That's right. And if you want to make a quick tofu plaster, just slice the tofu and put it in the center of the cabbage cup. And put that on the forehead. Or you can make this recipe here, which is more elaborate, using a sriracha. All right? And then also, it's may or may not be on these pages, but ume shokuzu as a digestive strengthener. And also, if anyone's experiencing weakness, chills and weakness, together with this, right? Also, do you know for fever, the special Daikon tea, where you grate daikon and then you pour hot bancha tea over top?
Okay.
Right? Do you know that one? You can add a little grated ginger and a little bit of shoyu to the grated daikon and drink that hot, and you sweat out a fever. All right? So we are well prepared. And do you know, it's so obvious. Blair, compared to your neighbors who are stockpiling food, what is your advantage as a macrobiotic person compared to your next door neighbor in Houston?
The strength of our immune system and the diet we eat.
Yeah.
And also, I've got rice and beans I can eat on for weeks and weeks and weeks, and they keep running to the grocery store.
Our advantage is we're experts at food storage.
Right.
Our foods are meant to be stored. That's what gave us the civilization, Marielle.
Right.
How about chimpanzees and gorillas, guys? Did they store food?
I don't think so.
So what do they have to do every day? They have to do what every day?
2 and 2 and 2. And
They have to spend the day finding food. Hoping. Can you imagine if you had to do that every day? And because they're raw plant eaters, raw fruit and vegetable eaters, what else do they do every day? 5 hours, 6 hours a day, compared to you, 20 minutes.
Chewing.
They have to chew for 5 or 6 hours a day. So pretty much their whole day. You think macrobiotic friends are food obsessed. Those creatures are totally food obsessed. The whole day is securing food and then chewing it. How much time is left to invent a smartphone? How much time is left to ride in a Mercedes-Benz? Do you understand our superiority? Storing food. Grain and beans are meant to be stored. Dried vegetables and dried seaweed is meant to be stored. Blair, how can they fit all of the frozen animal carcasses into one refrigerator for a month? Can you do that?
No.
Sherry, what do you think? Can they fit enough frozen carcass into a freezer? You know, the average freezer is about, what? How many cubic feet? So we have a huge advantage. Huge advantage. All right? All right, then let's see next. 9-star key. So what energy are the lung and large intestine of the 5 transformations? Those are what?
Metal.
Metal. And in our 9-star key system, guys, which numbers correspond to metal? You know?
6 and 7.
Very good. 6 and 7. Blair, don't worry, we'll get around to this later, but for now, right? Sherry knows this also. So please circle 7 and 6. And as you see, the year 2020 so happens to be a metal 7 year. Metal 7 year. All right?
It says meal, metal.
So is it a wonder that the entire world is focusing on lung and large intestine this year? Is it a wonder? Lung and large intestine went from relative nobody's paying attention to now everybody's paying attention. Front and center. That's because 7 is in the center this year, and everything revolves around the number 7 metal, which is lung and large intestine. So that means, what season, Sherry, is that also? What season?
Is fall.
Fall. Going into winter. So that means yang, right? So this virus burrows deep within the lung and large intestine. Yang. Okay? Blair, how about the social response? Society's response to this pandemic is what kind of energy when you hear words like lockdown, self-isolate, the shelter in place? Do you get a more yin expansive or a more yang contractive energy from those concepts and practices? What do you think? Lockdown means what?
Well, that response is yang, but I think the people's response of getting emotionally upset and fearful is a yin response, is it not?
Yeah.
So we're actually getting both extremes.
That's because when you hyper-emphasize that metal energy, right? Lockdown,
Right.
that sends energy, bad energy, into the water energy, which is kidney and bladder. That's where the fear comes from.
Yep. It makes complete sense.
Shelter in place. Don't you? You almost feel like there's a National Guardsman out front, holding an automatic weapon, preventing you from going out your front door. That's the image that people get. You know, shelter in place came from the nuclear war idea. You're supposed to go into a room without windows and hide until the all clear signal comes.
From a 50 megaton bomb.
How about social distancing? What concept is that? Yin-yang concept. That's kind of a 6 metal concept, right? 7 is more sociable. 7 metal is yang, but 6 metal is even more yang. Tends to be more isolated. Social. What do you say? What is the word they're using? Social distancing. Is that what they're saying, Blair? Social distancing.
Yes.
All of these are metal energy concepts. All right, then let's turn to the next page. Please take a look. This is the months of 2020. which is again at the top, monthly charts for the years 1, 4, and 7. 1 is water, 4 is tree, and 7 is metal. So why don't you do this? Starting with January, circle the number 7. Where was the number 7 in January? That month, for the month, was where? Do you know that position on the left? That's the east. That means rising, coming out of hibernation and now being exposed. That's when this thing started to break. February, please see, it went to the what is that? The 4 tree position that's actually southeast. What is that position, Cher?
Where in February?
The month of February. Where is 7 in that month?
It's in the 4th house.
So that means coming out, right? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Coming out, and now everyone's paying attention out of nowhere. So Trump was complaining that 3 weeks ago we had the best economy, right? And now it's like gone to pot. Okay? In that short amount of time. That's how suddenly, that's 3 and 4 tree energy, right? How about March? Where are we this month?
In the middle.
March is the same year, the same energy as the year. Month and year are both the same. So what does that mean? That means all of these tendencies are at their peak right now. 7 and 7. So now it's like everywhere, right? Dominating, isn't it? How about next month? Where does 7 go after that? Actually goes to the house of 6. So things may become what next month? What do you guys predict?
Worse.
Things may either go deeper, right? Burrow deeper, or start to recede. What do you think? Could be either way, Sherry. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Then how about May?
Before they get away.
May is 7 goes to its normal house. And 5 takes the center. My prediction is when 5 goes to the center, things may stabilize, start to calm down. And then by June, when 4 reaches the center, this is much more expansive energy. And 7 undergoes a change. Okay, hopefully this changes for the better. That means this thing, the curve starts to really flatten. Okay? And then July, 3, also expansive energy. Okay? Then August is the soil month. This is when 7 goes into hibernation. So maybe by August, this thing is starting to dissipate. And my prediction is, in the autumn, the month where this is most likely to vanish or recedes tremendously is October. Why is that? Sherry, why is that? What numbers in the center? 9 fire. So that means 9 is counteracting. Is that melting the hardness of 6 metal, 7. That's my hope that by the fall this thing has passed. Let me hear your views, guys. Any other views about this? Does that sound with your intuition? Go ahead.
I have a question.